Hey, Boyd team, friends and family. Thank you for tuning in for April's edition of What's Going On in the Market in Greenville. Wanted to come to you today with a really important topic, one that is not easy to discuss, and is one that I've honestly been kind of hesitating to put out there. But today I want to come to you and talk about recession, interest rates, and inflation. So three things that are affecting us or going to affect us in the coming months. And so number one, I said recession, that scares a lot of people. And so I want to talk about a little bit of what's going on there, and then how that affects the Greenville real estate market and really the market as a whole, and how we can prepare for that and why we should still be investing in real estate during this crazy time right now. And so number one, on the recession discussion, why I think that we are headed there. The people that I follow, really smart people, have been talking about this for about 6 months, and they look at the 2-year treasury rates and the 10-year treasury rates. And there are a lot of other treasury rates where people let the government borrow their money. And you'd expect that when you give somebody your money for 10 years as opposed to 2 years, that you're going to get a better interest rate on the 10-year than you would the 2-year. And that is normally what happens. But as we enter a recession, there's less confidence in the long term. And so the 2-year actually gets better rates than the 10-year. So a lot of language there. But basically when that inverts, that has always indicated that we are headed towards a recession in the next 6 months. And so recession generally is going to mean that we are going to produce less. We're going to make less money as a country. The stock market normally takes a big hit. Don't know what that number is going to look like, but I would be prepared to see some of that. We've seen some volatility over the last few months in the stock market, indicating that as well, that it is probably about to have a correction. And so not predicting anything per se, but I would say that the factors that everybody looks at to anticipate those things are all there. So that is the big recession word. Now, when people think about recession, they think housing market crash because that's what happened in 2008. But in 5 out of the last 6 recessions, real estate has actually appreciated. We've actually sold more houses in recessions than we have outside of the recessions. And so on the real estate side, there's not great concern for any disruption whenever anything happens with the stock market or with our exports. And so I don't want anybody to think I've got to pull all my money out of real estate, because I think that's the worst thing that you can do right now. And one of the reasons that is the inflation rate is so high right now. And so inflation numbers just came out. 8.5% core consumer price index is where that's sitting. And so prices compared with March 2021 with March 2022, you're paying 8.5% more for those products than you did last year. And so I know you're all feeling that in your pocketbook. That's a very real number to you. And some of you, I'm saying that number and you're like, man, it feels like it's a lot higher than 8.5%. And that's because it really is. If we calculated the number the same way that they did back in the 80s, that number would be closer to 15 to 18%, which is actually what you're feeling in your pocketbook. So inflation, when the government sees inflation happening at a high rate, the main weapon that they have against inflation is raising interest rates. And so that's what we've seen over the course of the last few months. We entered 2022 with interest rates being around 3.5%. And quickly in the first month or so of 2022, they moved into the 4.25% range. And then most recently, the Fed did announce that they were going to be a little bit more aggressive in some of their policies, and that caused the market to price in a lot of that. And we're now seeing 30-year rates be above 5% for most people. And so very real difference between those rates. We're seeing people's payments for the same amount of a loan go up a few $100s. And so when you're talking a few $100s a month, that's a big change. And it's something that we're having to keep our eye on as our buyers are looking at purchasing and making sure that we're staying under that monthly payment of what they wanted to spend. And so overall, what does this mean for real estate? As I mentioned before, real estate has thrived in 5 out of the last 6 recessions. The only one that it didn't was the recession that was caused by the real estate market. And all the experts feel like this is nothing like 2008. Inventory is at 1 month right now. We were at 8 to 9 months whenever the recession in 2008 hit. And a balanced market is somewhere between 5 and 6 months, and we've been well below that for about 6 to 8 years now. And so we don't anticipate anything major happening with the real estate market. We will continue to see it appreciate. We may not see the appreciation be as much as it has been, where we're sitting at 20% median price increase year over year right now, which is just unbelievable. The year average for the last 100 years or so is about 4%. And so we do expect it to return close to that. So we'll continue to see that move upwards. And so you may see headlines that say price appreciation decelerates or decreases, and that will be true, but that's not a headline to be scared of. That just means that we're going 200 miles an hour right now, and we're about to slow down to where we're going 40 again. And that's the speed we need to go to be a sustainable market. So I do anticipate that happening. As far as recession goes, inflation, interest rates, when we do enter a recession, interest rates typically do drop. And so we will likely see those interest rates start to come down maybe in a year or so, but there's no guarantee of that. And so people still buy and sell during whatever market it is. It's just a matter of what your needs are and what you need to do at that time. And that's why we're prepared as the Boyd team to make sure that you have the best tools in your hands to be able to sell and to purchase right now, to capitalize on the great gains you've made on the house that you currently own, and to also be able to get into a great house where you can continue to realize those gains as the market appreciates. And so would love to talk with you about that. If you are considering doing anything over the course of the next year or so, my goal is to be an advisor to you to help you plan through that process, because this is big and it's scary. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now, but it's my job to stay in touch with those things so that we can make a solid plan for you so that you can make the best financial decision. So anything I can do to help, please reach out. Would love to talk. And I look forward to seeing a bunch of you over the summer. We've got a couple of events planned. You should all also be getting your farmers market mailer in the mail, the magnet in the mail over the course of the next couple of weeks. And so excited to be providing that for you guys again this year. And again, if there's anything we could ever do, please reach out. Hope you guys have a great rest of the spring and look forward to talking to you guys next month.